Hello, everyone. This is Independent Conservative. I'm Ryan Bowling. Thank you all for joining once again. So, former President Donald Trump, in an interview with Breitbart News, stated that a significant number of blacks and Hispanics and women are shifting to him from the Democratic Party to voting for him for safety and security. It's not mind control. That's something I added to it. It's not mind control. They're not being manipulated. It's just that, according to Trump in this interview with Breitbart News, that blacks, Hispanics, and a significant number of women are siding with him because they want to be safe and secure in their own backyards. So what I'm going to read you a portion of what he actually said in this interview in Breitbart News, and we're going to get right into our commentary. But it makes sense. The way the mainstream news puts it, of course, is, oh, you people, you blacks, especially blacks, because we know blacks, we disproportionately vote for the Democrats anyway. So, of course, we the brainwashed ones, right? We being brainwashed by Trump to vote for them. Yeah, really. We're being brainwashed by the Democrats. That's what, well, I'm not, but a lot of blacks are, but you get my point. According to the article, Palm Beach, Florida, former President Donald Trump, the presumptive Republican nominee for president in 2024, told Breitbart News exclusively that the primary drivers of demographic shifts in the electorate where women and minorities voters are leaving Democrats is to side with him are safety and security. Trump told Breitbart News in a more than 90-minute long exclusive interview last week here at his luxurious seaside resort that polls are showing, quote, numbers we've never seen before with women, black, and Hispanic voters. Now, these apparently are his words, and these are some powerful words, though. We're going to get right into this. Asked what is driving the demographic shifts away from Democrats to him and Republicans among these groups, Trump said, quote, safety and security more than anything else. Trump said that, quote, lunatic Democrat President Joe Biden and broader Democrat policies are making women and minorities voters less safe. And let me say something before I read further into this article. I'm going to say something in my commentary towards believers and Christians that may be watching this video for this particular time. I'm going to say something that may be offensive to you, but it's reality. So just get ready for that, okay? Because there's more to it than what we think it is. Okay, let's go on. They don't feel safe with this lunatic, Trump said. He's a terrible president. He's the worst president in history. He's the most incompetent and most corrupt president we've ever had. He's willing to weaponize the Justice Department to go after his opponent. Nobody ever thought that it was ever going to happen in our country. It happens in a lot of countries in the third world, banana republics, but nobody ever thought they'd see that. But above all, I believe they want security. They don't want people knocking on their door saying, we're taking over your house. That's really where we're headed. We're headed to a nation like we've never seen before. Trump is absolutely right that there are major swings happening in these key demographics away from Biden and Democrats towards him and Republicans. While Biden won women voters by 11 points in 2020 over Trump, which I don't understand why. Biden is old and decrepit looking. What kind of woman would want that? I mean, Biden was old and decrepit looking. You going to take him over? Yeah, Trump was old too, but Trump looks better, okay? But come on. New York Times polling shows Trump erasing that advantage entirely and that Trump has pulled, even with Biden, into dead-on tie among women voters. Interesting. The New York Times poll in question, released in March, shows Trump drawing even with Biden among women and making serious gains among black and Hispanic voters. The poll offers an array of warning signs for the president about weaknesses within the Democratic coalition, including among women, black, and Latino voters, the Times' Shan Goldmacher wrote about the survey. When it comes to Hispanic voters, look no further than a recent headline in The Economist magazine, quote, Joe Biden's weakness among Latinos threatens his reelection. In the piece, the magazine reveals that Trump made significant gains in the Hispanic community from 2016 to 2020 and, quote, if current polling is anything to go by, Mr. Trump looks set to cut further into Mr. Biden's margins with Latino voters come November. With black voters, it might be even worse for Biden and better for Trump on the margins. Al Jazeera, of all places, recently published a major piece questioning why Trump is making big gains here. It makes sense to me why he would be making big gains, okay, but we'll get into that. The story notes that according to exit polls in 2016, Trump won about 8% of the black vote, the highest for a Republican in decades. Wow. By 2020, the U.S. presidential election support for Trump among black voters has surged to 12%, Al Jazeera's Dwayne Oxford wrote. And while current opinions polls vary, a recent survey from Gen Forward shows that if the elections were held today, 17% of black voters would vote for Donald Trump, while 20% said they would vote for someone other than Trump or Biden. It's Breitbart News. I know this is a lot that I'm reading, but I want you guys to get all the details. As Trump told Breitbart News, he believes that it's all about safety and security. He also thinks, as he expanded on during his interview with Breitbart News, that a key factor driving these sentiments and these demographics is the record levels of migration that Biden and his Democrat administration are facilitating in the country, and the problem that comes with millions more people here than otherwise would have been in the country. We have, I believe, 15 million more people in here, Trump told Breitbart News. Many of them came out of jails, prisons, and many of them came out of mental institutions and, as I said in the speeches, insane asylums. You have many terrorists coming into our country. We're going to pay a big price for this. This is a bomb waiting to explode. Now, that expression right there, this is a bomb waiting to explode. The mainstream media get a hold of that and say he's trying to threaten with bombs. When obviously, when you read or listen to the context, he's talking about a bomb. He's saying that metaphorically in reference to these illegals coming over here. And maybe even physical, because if some of these people are terrorists, only a person with common sense would think that they would try to bomb us. We're going to be paying a big price for this. I say my campaign and my policies are based on common sense. They happen to be conservative policies, but I say to a large extent, being conservative is based on common sense. Who would allow a wall not to be built? And they say, no, we don't need a wall. We'll send little things up in the air. To what? I don't know what that means, up in the air. I don't know what that's about. To what? To watch people come in? All they do is watch people come in. We're going to have 15 million people come in here and probably do about now. It could be 18 to 20 million people by the end of his term. 18 to 20 million people. That's bigger than New York State. That's bigger than almost every state in the union. These numbers, Trump said, affect everyone's everyday lives among people who would rather not be bothered by politics. And as such, and he's absolutely right. Man, and is there any untruth in what he's saying? And as such, he continues, it is waking them up and turning them his way. Yep. What is more, Trump noted many of the people coming from other nations through Latin America and the rest of the world through Biden's open border are bad people. These countries are not allowing their best and their finest to come. They want to keep them, Trump said. These are not stupid people. They're very streetwise and smart people, the leaders of those countries. They're not allowing the people who have been the beacon of working to come. But in addition to that, they're emptying their prisons and their mental institutions into our country, and terrorists are also coming in. This is a disaster. You say, how could this be possible? I think we may win places nobody ever thought of before. I'm going to play in New York, and nobody thought we could do it, but I have friends in New York who are Democrats that hate the Democrats now. Wow. They said they've ruined our city. They destroyed it. They ruined it by having 500,000 migrants taking over the parks. Kids can't play Little League anymore. It sounds like a very mundane thing that they can't play Little League anymore. They can't play football anymore. They can't go for a walk in the park, but it's a very big thing in terms of life. And he's absolutely right. That's the end of the article right there. I know there was a lot to read, but I wanted you to hear exactly, basically what he had said in the interview. And is there any untruth in what he said? I mean, I agreed to just about everything that he said in that article. And in that interview with Breitbart News, I agree with everything he has said. It's hard to twist what he said and make it into something that is not. And all these celebrities that are getting out here, I forget exactly what particular rapper or celebrity, but he's a rapper. I can't remember his name, how he's farting and spooting and snotting and trying to warn black people who are siding with Trump now, why they shouldn't do it, and you shouldn't do it. You think Trump is for you, this, that, and the other. Okay, what better alternative, sir, do you have? Biden? Because it's under the Biden administration that he's allowing all these illegals to come in here. Just what was it, about a few minutes ago, I was reading an article stating that in Chicago, okay, the prosecutor allowed a gang member from Venezuela who had shot a transgender in his groin area. That's what this article said. Let this gang member go because although the transgender didn't die, this transgender refused to cooperate and really give any detail about this person. So they let this gang member, whom they had according to the article, had overwhelming evidence to say that he did this, they let him go. This person was evidently a member of a gang. I think it might have been MS-13 that this Venezuelan gang member was. And you guys heard me mention in some of my previous videos the very, very violent and brutal MS-13 gang, which I do believe, according to some sources, have come from Venezuela, or at least a portion of them come from Venezuela. These people are extremely, extremely violent, these gang members. They'll cut your heart out, cut you. Many of them even said worship Satan and are willing to go through all kinds of satanic rituals to gain power from Satan. So we're talking about a satanic gang member group here now. We're not talking about the Bloods and the Crips. We're talking about something that's satanic. And they're being allowed to come over here. And this individual in Chicago was let go by law enforcement because the prosecutor didn't feel like, they was interviewing the victim, and the victim didn't want to really cooperate and give him all the information. So they just let this guy go, even though they had overwhelming evidence that pointed to this particular Venezuelan gang member shooting this transgender. What's my point? My point simply is this. A significant number of people in Chicago are black. Am I right or wrong? Particularly in certain regions of Chicago, rather. And we know that to be the case. And so Chicagoans are terrified. They're scared. And I was watching a video where it stated that, a black man was in some type of a group or something with black people. And he was talking about how that come voting time, and I'm paraphrasing his words, come voting time, he said, you're going to see us black people no longer voting for you Democrats anymore. So clearly these group of blacks were Democrats, but now they're saying we're not going to buy. This was in Chicago. So, and this looked like a professional group, like we're not going to go for this anymore because all them illegals are flooding Chicago. And as Trump was saying, he believes, and I agree, that a significant number of blacks, Hispanics, and women are voting for him, but particularly the blacks and Hispanics I want to focus on for the most part because I don't understand the women voting for Biden. I don't even know what that's all about. So I'm not going to even focus on that. But the Hispanics and blacks are starting to shift over to Trump. And according to Trump's assessment, and I partially believe that, at least for the most part, they're doing so because of safety and security. Okay. But I also believe that they're doing it because of the economy. And the inflation, how inflation is sky high, and it's just terrible. I'm suffering some of that. My paycheck hasn't gone up. They decided I ain't going to say the name of the company. They decided to give us a raise, but it was only an 80-cent raise, and I'm not faulting them for that because there's only so much you can give. Okay, but give us an 80-cent raise, and inflation is still sky high. There's never hardly any time when I go grocery shopping that I don't spend less than $100. And that $100 in groceries is gone in 3 days because it costs $20-something to get a steak half the time. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous. So people, blacks and Hispanics, and just are siding with Trump because they believe not only for safety that he's going to create, or rather push and promote laws that are going to protect us in terms of the border, but also he's going to do things economically that's going to help free us from this high inflation. It's ridiculous. So, having said that, it makes perfectly good sense why he said what he said, and I agree with just about everything he said. What untruth is there? What untruth did he just say? It's not mind control. It's not they being twisted and lied to. No, the Democrats are the ones twisting and lying to blacks and Hispanics. They are the ones doing it. The Democratic politicians are lying. And I'm going to be real with you. Anybody that knows this, that knows that Democrats are lying, that knows Democrats are twisting things, that knows that Democrats are allowing these illegals to come over here in these different states and cities and so forth and flood these states and cities, and you still vote for them, shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. You deserve what you get. And I'm not taking back what I said. You deserve what you get if you willfully, knowingly, this is what's going on, knowing that the political party that you are voting for is allowing this nonsense, this madness to take place with these illegals, this high inflation and all the rest, this lawlessness and all the rest, knowing that you vote for them anyway, shame on you. You deserve what you get. Now, let me say this towards anyone that be watching this, that's watching this video that may be a born-again Christian. Let me say this up front. I know some of you might be thinking, you know, Mr. Bolin, as a man of God, you know it's time to pray. That the reason why all of this craziness is happening, because they took prayer out of the schools and they took the Bible out of the schools in the 1960s and so forth. And ever since then, everything has gotten worse. Excuse me, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I'm not denying that one bit, okay? You're absolutely right. However, let me say this to those who may be Christians and are watching this video. We as Christians have to stop being hypocritical. You say, wait a minute, Mr. Bolin, what are you talking about? Okay, this is what I mean. As Christians, and I'm speaking specifically to black Christians that may be watching this, okay? Because we do this all the time. We'll hoop and we'll holler and we'll scream about sin and debauchery and crime and all this kind of stuff going on in our country, and that we need to bring God back and we need to bring prayer back in the schools, which is not going to happen unless it's on a local level, okay? But yet we will go when it's time to vote and vote for politicians that support this madness. We will go, we will complain and fight and get upset and yick and yak about the devil is busy. But yet when it comes time to vote, we will vote for politicians that believe in promoting lawlessness. We have to understand as Christians, particularly in the black community, that even though we are spiritual, we live in a three-dimensional realm. God is not telling us to ignore the three-dimensional realm. We may be citizens of heaven, but we live on earth. Jesus told the disciples and all believers, occupy till I come. In other words, live among them till I come. Occupy means to push forth the kingdom of God in the three-dimensional realm that you live in. But it's more than just, Lord, have your way, move in a mighty way right now. That's part of it. We need to pray that God will intervene in our three-dimensional realm and fix things up. But there's a part that we also have to do. The book of James in the New Testament says faith without works is what? Dead. I can talk about faith all day, but if I'm not doing anything to show that faith, my faith is dead. It's not manifesting anything. And what's my point? My point is this to all born again Christians that may be watching this, black Christians in particular, is that after you've prayed, if you're someone that vote, after you've prayed and asked God to do whatever, when it comes time to vote, stop voting for politicians that are pushing the illegal immigration, that are pushing soft on crime laws, letting these people out and causing all kinds of chaos in our cities, in our states, and in our country. There's another part that we play as Christians, and it's more than just prayer. Prayer is the key, and faith unlocks the door, as one preacher said, but works is the manifestation of that. God doesn't just want us to be saved, he wants us to do. And if we're going to be involved in the political process in whatever way, I'm not talking about being a politician. Come on now, y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if we vote, we just can't vote just for a particular political party because that's what we've always been doing. The Democratic Party of the day is destroying our country. I'm just right out saying it. Period. I'm not going sidebar. I'm not going to go around. No, the Democratic Party, for the most part, I say 90-something% of them, are trying to destroy our country in all kinds of ways with all kinds of laws and legislation. The Senate, the Congress, the lawmakers, that's what they're doing, particularly with the Democrats. And when we vote for them as Christians, when we, as black Christians, we vote for them, we are putting in office lawmakers who are creating laws that are letting these people come in all kinds of ways. We're voting for people, okay, who are giving a slap on the hand to criminals. At the same time, penalizing you and telling you and me and other law-abiding Americans and citizens, we can't own guns, we can't do this, we can't do that. They're restricting us and giving freedom to the criminals. Now, make sense out of that. Come on, men and women of God. We play a part too. Now, if you don't vote, then that's okay. Fine. No one's forcing you to vote, and neither am I. But if you are a Christian, particularly in the black community, and you vote, stop. I'm just going to plan out say it. Stop voting for these Democrats. Because this is all over the country. They're allowing this stuff all over the country. They're pushing this stuff all over the country. It matters who you vote for. We got to do more than pray. We got to do. We got to push against this kind of madness. We got to speak out against it and expose it so that people will know and they'll know what to do better next time. But just sit back and that's not all it takes. You got to do more. So I know this might not be what a lot of Christians that may be watching this video like to hear, but you know I'm telling you the truth. We can talk about all of this spiritual stuff all day, but we got to understand the spiritual realm and the physical realm go hand in hand. You can't ignore one without the other. They go hand in hand. Now, true, the most important part is the spiritual part because it is the spiritual side that was here before all this other stuff. That's the real reality. And it is spiritual. The underbasis is spiritual. Ephesians chapter 6 in the New Testament says, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers. In other words, the Apostle Paul is saying in that chapter that the real battle for Christians is in the unseen realm, not the physical realm. However, we live in the physical realm. And according to the New Testament book of Ephesians chapter 2, in the same book, same letter, Paul says we are saved by grace. It is the gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast, meaning that salvation is by faith in Christ through the grace of God. Nothing we can do to earn it. But then he goes on in the next verse and says, for we are saved unto good works that God has prepared for those who love him. In other words, works don't save us, but save people work. You save, but it's something we have to do in all spheres of life, things we do. And if we're involved in the political process as Christians in any form or way, whether it's in striving to be in political office or just merely being a voter, we need to vote smart. We need to know the policies of the people that we're voting for and vote smart. And I'm just suggesting that the Democrats of this era ain't where it's at. They're pushing this madness, among other things, in our country. Okay, they're really pushing this nasty stuff. So that's what I had to say right there. I know this video went longer than normal, but I needed to say that, and I needed to read to you guys exactly what President Trump, former President Trump, said in the Breitbart News interview, at least based on the information they've given in the article. Yes, there are blacks, Hispanics, and women are starting to side with Trump now because of the madness of the Democrats today. It's not mind control. It's common sense, as he said. Common sense. People are tired of the rigmarole. People are tired of the foolishness. People are tired of the lies. People are tired of the violence. Period. Bottom line. And that's what I had to say about that. What do you guys think? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe to my channel. God bless you all and see you again.